Hi there, I'm Alana DeGee, a Head of Product here at Reapit, and today we'll be taking you through a deep dive of Reapit's end-to-end AML CTF solution, Reapit Verify. Before we go ahead and tell you a little bit more about Reapit Verify, first we'll be doing a brief recap on the upcoming obligations. So from the 1st of July 2026, all real estate agents operating in the sales space in Australia will become reporting entities under Australia's expanded AML CTF regime. So there's a Tranche 2 reform coming in, which is a phase of legislation which will extend AML CTF obligations to another range of sectors, which will include real estate from the 1st of July. So what this means for you as an agent operating in the sales space is that you will be a reporting entity from July 1 to AUSTRAC, and you'll need to have a number of obligations met, including conducting due diligence on your clients, so your vendors and purchasers, undertaking risk assessments, and reporting any suspicious activity to AUSTRAC. So let's take a look at these obligations in a little bit more detail. As a part of your upcoming obligations, the first thing that you'll need to do is appoint a compliance officer and develop and implement an AML CTF program. So this program will hold all of the policies and procedures that will ultimately be needed to guide how your office and your business is going to meet its upcoming obligations. Secondly, you'll need to register and enroll with AUSTRAC. The enrolments with AUSTRAC did open on the 31st of March, and these will need to be completed before the 1st of July or 28 days after you start providing designated services from July 1. Your third obligation is staff training. So each year you'll need to make sure that your staff members within your business that are operating in that sales space, so anyone that's customer facing with your vendors or your purchasers, or anyone that has interaction to do with that transaction, whether that be your compliance officers or your admin team, they will need to undergo AML CTF training annually, and they'll need to make sure that they're aware of all of the policies and procedures relevant to your office, as well as how to identify and look out for any suspicious activity or red flags. Your fourth obligation is to conduct customer due diligence. So what this means is you'll be doing due diligence on your clients, so your vendors and purchasers, and this will take the form of ID verification as well as a number of other checks, as well as conducting a risk assessment and checks on any businesses as well. You'll need to report any suspicious matters that you do identify through to AUSTRAC, and finally, you'll also need to maintain appropriate records in your system. Now, the good news is Reapit has built an end-to-end AML CTF solution built specifically for real estate for you to help you meet these upcoming obligations. And this is really an end-to-end solution where it does help you to meet each and every one of those obligations. So once you have enrolled with AUSTRAC, Reapit can help you from there with each of those parts. So starting off with customer due diligence, Reapit's end-to-end solution, Reapit Verify, can help you to really easily conduct due diligence on both your vendors and purchasers, whether they be individuals or whether they be companies, or perhaps even if there's complex entities or trust structures involved. Throughout Reapit's system, you're also able to have all of your risk assessments conducted on your clients. So in Reapit Verify, you can have a set of agency controlled questions that your compliance officer will set up, and then your vendors and your purchasers will all have a risk assessment associated with that particular property transaction that your team will be able to update and answer based on your staff members' dealings with those clients. Reapit Verify also has a reporting capability so that you'll be able to make sure that you're audit ready. Any changes that are made on your cases and any changes that are made on those risk assessments are always tracked in terms of what was changed by what user and by what time. And if you do need to report any suspicious activity, it's very easy to generate a suspicious matter report so that you can then use that to report to AUSTRAC. Now, Reapit also supports you with your annual AML CTF training obligations for your staff through the Reapit Training Academy. So there are 4 dedicated modules that will be available for you depending on the roles of the staff that you're wishing to train. And those modules will help to support with general AML CTF awareness, as well as helping your staff to understand how to identify suspicious activity and what the flags are, as well as dedicated training for your senior managers and your compliance officers. This training isn't available at an additional charge through Reapit's Training Academy. Now, finally, if you are seeking for support in developing your AML CTF program, Reapit is also able to assist in this area. So Reapit has partnered with One AML, who is a leading AML CTF consultant. They've got a special experience in the real estate space, having helped thousands of real estate agents across Australia and New Zealand and supporting them with their AML CTF program development. So as a Reapit client, we are pleased to let you know that we do have exclusive discounts available for you if you are seeking support with your program development through One AML. Now, what's really great about Reapit Verify and what's different is that unlike generic AML CTF solutions, it is built in very, very deeply and embedded into the Reapit ecosystem. It's not simply bolted on or tacked on. As a part of being built into the Reapit ecosystem, what this means is that there is no additional need for your team to have additional logins or systems. Your sales agents can stay in Reapit Sales. They can initiate and monitor all of their checks, formerly Agent Box, and have all of their workflows and all of their day-to-day activities stay within Reapit Sales, which just makes it really easy for you to make sure that they are doing what they need to do and that your obligations are being met. Your compliance officers, on the other hand, will have a dedicated holistic view of the entire office in their Reapit Verify module, which is available within the Reapit app switcher. And here they'll be able to receive automated notifications of any high-risk transactions and make any notes, report to AUSTRAC as needed using those suspicious matter reports. Now, we did mention before that Reapit Verify has been built quite specifically for real estate. It is deeply embedded into the workflows within Reapit Sales as well. So, for example, if you are trying to list a property onto the major portals, you'll receive a warning within Reapit Sales just to let you know that you do first need to make sure that all of the vendors on that particular property have first been verified. So that's just one example of how Reapit Verify is deeply embedded into those workflows in the sales system. One of the other great benefits of having everything as a part of the Reapit ecosystem is that your data does stay protected. So we certainly want to avoid your client's data leaving the Reapit ecosystem if it is possible, and having it all secured in that one system really does just mean that security and privacy are at the highest level as possible. Finally, from a pricing perspective, we're very pleased to let you know that Reapit Verify does not have any additional subscription cost. So it's the one system, the one ecosystem, the one login, and just the one subscription. The Reapit Verify cost is just simply per check. So you pay for what you use for each KYC check and for each KYB check, or know your customer and know your business checks. We'll give you some more information in just a moment about that pricing. If you are looking for support with your AML CTF program development, this is available through One AML at a special discounted price. Now, we mentioned before that Reapit Verify does not have any additional monthly subscription costs for existing Reapit clients, and you simply pay for what you use. So for a Know Your Customer check, which is what you would be using to conduct customer due diligence on your individuals, for example, your vendors and your purchasers, this is $24 per Know Your Customer check. And for a Know Your Business check, this is priced at $49, and this does include an ASIC report as a part of this as well, which is really great. Now, July 1 is coming quite soon, which is when your obligations commence. So as a part of that, you'll be able to get access to Reapit Verify from early May when it is launched, following on from our early access program. And we do also have various materials available and resources to support you in meeting your obligations and giving you as much information as we can to help you get prepared. So if you are interested in scheduling your start with Reapit Verify today, please scan the QR code on the screen to schedule your onboarding window and make sure that you can get your preferred slot. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thanks, Lana. Hi, everybody. My name's Rowan. I'm one of the product owners here at Reapit, and today I'll be taking you through an in-depth demonstration of Reapit Verify. So let's jump in. We'll start in Reapit Sales. So the first thing that you will notice when you go to try and list a property, you will see a warning asking you to make sure that all of the vendors related to this property are verified. So from here, you can go ahead and list the property. This is just a warning, or you can click out of the warning and navigate to your Agents and Contacts tab. And this is where you will now see that you have the option of verifying your vendors. So anybody who's been added as a vendor into the related contact section will have the Verify Now button next to their name. Clicking on Verify Now triggers a message to this vendor asking them to complete their ID verification. It doesn't just include an ID verification, it will also run checks against your PEPs and sanctions watch list. So what does that mean? So a PEP is a politically exposed person. So it'll check if the person is politically exposed. So this could be an MP or a prime minister, and it will also check your sanctions list to make sure that this person isn't listed on any sanctions list for any of the different countries. So at the moment, you can see that we've triggered that message and it is awaiting the customer. So that just means that the customer needs to go ahead and complete their verification. While the verification has been sent off and we're waiting for the vendor to complete it, as an agent, you can go back to the General tab and you can access your risk assessment. Clicking on the risk assessment will open up your risk assessment questions in Reapit Verify. You can then go ahead and answer these questions by clicking the yes or no buttons. We'll quickly go ahead and complete this. And once we've answered all of the questions, we'll hit save at the bottom of the page. Saving your risk assessment will then update your risk level assigned to this case. So here you can see that we've been assigned a low risk level. If you ever need to go in and update your risk assessment, so let's say you've now added a buyer to this case as well, you can just go ahead and click on Update Risk Assessment, and you can go ahead and change the relevant question. In this case, you can see that the change we made changed the risk level for this question to high. As soon as your risk level is set to high, that will automatically flag this case with your compliance officer for them to go and review the case and make sure that there's nothing that they need to look at and report to AUSTRAC. So we'll just quickly go back and change this back to a low risk level. So what we'll do now is head back to Reapit Sales and back to our Agents and Contacts section, and we'll go ahead and we'll refresh our contacts. Hitting the refresh button against the status for your vendor will do a check to make sure that they have now completed their verification. So in this case, you can see that the verification has been completed and the result has come back as verified. So that means all of the ID checks have been passed, as well as the PEPs and sanctions checked. As an agent, because you've now completed your risk assessment and that's come back as low, and you have completed your verification, or the vendor has completed their verification, this verification check has now been completed. So you can continue to go ahead and list the property and then also try and find a buyer for this particular property. To add a buyer to your transaction or Reapit Verify case, in Reapit Sales, you'll need to navigate to Offers and Contracts. You can go ahead and enter an offer, add your buyer, and then click on Add to add this offer. Once you've added the offer, you will now see that under the Selected Buyer section, you will have the option to also verify the buyer. This process is very similar to what we went through with the vendor, where you'll be able to hit Verify Now. That'll add their details to your Reapit Verify case. It'll trigger a message to them asking them to complete their ID verification. From a compliance officer's point of view, we'll now head into Reapit Verify. When you first log into Reapit Verify, you will see the cases page. So the cases page is where you will be able to see all of the different cases that either you have added to the system or that have been flagged for you to review. So in this case, you can see that we've got a whole heap of low risk level cases, but if we go and have a look at a couple of other cases within our system, you will see that there are some cases that are high risk and marked as under review. So those cases are cases that you would need to go in, have a look at the details of the case and decide whether or not that's going to be submitted through to AUSTRAC. We'll stick to the case that we've just added to the system. So we'll click on the address and we'll open up this case. Once it's opened up, you'll be able to see at the top of the page just the case outcome. So we won't be looking at that just yet. We'll scroll past and head to verifications. Within the verification section, you'll have the vendor's name, and then when this verification was last updated, you'll also have the verified status against their name. If we click on the verification, you will see the verification results. So you can see ID verification has been cleared, the sanctions check has been cleared, and your PEPs check has been cleared. You can also see when this verification was submitted and also when it was completed. You'll then have all of the person's details and the service that they've selected. So why are they engaging your service? So that information is all within the verification section for you. If we keep going down, this is where you'll find the risk assessment again. So what I might do is just go ahead and update the risk assessment again, and change it into a high status so that we can have a look at what happens from a compliance officer's point of view when a case has been flagged as high. So now that we've got the risk level back to high, if we scroll back to the top of the page, you can see that this case is pending review. When a case is pending review, it is locked down for any changes. So you won't have an agent going in and making any changes to this case anymore. It is only the compliance officer at this point that can go in and have a look at the verification and change any of the risk assessment questions and results. This case will stay under review until a compliance officer goes in and has a look at the information. They can then go ahead and click on Update Outcome to decide, are we going to drop the risk level for this case to something other than high, and then also make their notes as to why they've dropped the risk level for this particular case. If we scroll further down the page, you also have the option of adding some notes. So notes can be added at any point in time. We will record the note, who added the note, and then also when that note was added. This is important for that audit trail, for being able to see exactly when notes were added and who added them. With the audit trail mentioned, you will also be able to see when a case was updated. So you can see when the verification was completed, who completed that verification. If any changes were made to the risk assessment, you'll be able to see that as well, and also when those changes were made. So in this case, what we'll do is we're going to update the outcome. So we've had a look at all of the information. We'll set the risk level to low. We'll add some notes to say no suspicious activity, and we will just change that and save our note. So in this case, we have now completed this case and all of the information has been updated. So this case has now been finalized and we are ready to close it down. So that is Reapit Verify. So it's a really easy system to use for sales agents. They'll be able to stick to Reapit sales, complete all of their verifications. They'll be able to access the risk assessment and complete that within Reapit sales. So there's no jumping between systems multiple times a day. For a compliance officer, they'll be able to go into Reapit Verify, review a case, complete all the necessary reviews. If they decide that there is something that they need to be able to submit to AUSTRAC, they will be able to do that, or they can review a case, make sure everything is finalized, and then close it off and mark the case as completed.